It's a beautiful Saturday afternoon and you're going to go look at some houses all by yourself without your realtor. I'm going to tell you why you should not be doing that right after this. Hey everyone, welcome to Minneapolis Living. I'm Nick Sundahl with Acta Homes of Keller Williams Classic Realty Northwest. Right before we get into why you should always walk through a home represented, please hit the subscribe button. And while you're there, ring the bell so you're alerted every time I upload a new video on Tuesdays and Fridays. Now, I've had my fair share of clients go off and take a look at homes without me, and I can't express how much that annoys me. And it's no fault of their own. They're excited to go look at properties. They're in the process of purchasing, and sometimes they're just looking to kill some time on a weekend. But ultimately, if you have signed an agreement with your realtor or real estate agent, you want that realtor there to represent you and walk through the home, because they'll be able to point out certain little red flags, maybe things that you've discussed with them in terms of your wants and needs and what fits your lifestyle, not to mention what fits your budget within that lifestyle. So when you go to an open house, make sure you bring your representation with. And you don't worry about putting your agent out, because it is their job once you hire them, especially if you've signed an agreement with them. And I'm going to give you an example of why it's smart to have your representation with you when you go through a property. I recently had a transaction where I was representing the seller, and it was opening weekend of the home being listed live on our MLS, which means we were going to have an open house. And when you have an open house, of course, you expect to have neighbors come through. Maybe you catch somebody just driving down the street and they see your sign, or perhaps you have somebody that's been searching online and they're not represented. And then there's always the person or couple or family that is represented, but they come in on their own accord because it's something that caught their eye and they don't inform their agent. And this is exactly what happened to me. I had my open house set up, everything was ready to go, water is out, cookies are out, flyers are out, and I had people coming through as they do. Some were represented already, some were not, some, they were just neighbors looking around. I had a particular client or a particular guest walk through the door and asked if they had any questions, pointed out what was going on with the home, what to expect when going upstairs, downstairs, what have you. They were not really open to my chit chat. So they kind of shut me down. I let it go. I handed him a flyer and he walked out. And then about 20 minutes later, a young woman came through and she was much more chatty, if you will. So I started talking with her and she said, my husband came through earlier. And I knew exactly who he was, because the other people that came through were all couples and or had children with them. And this gentleman didn't. So she said, my husband came through, said, you know what? I really had to check out the house. I said, great. Handed her a flyer, discussed her situation a little bit. Turns out she was represented. And I started asking a little bit. I said, obviously you're represented, but this mortgage plan might work really well for you. And she said, oh no, we'd be paying cash. Wow, that's pretty great. So fast forward to 2 days later. Actually, fast forward 1 day later. She also informed me that they had a showing scheduled the next day. So I know exactly who was coming through because, of course, I get that notification. I knew who was representing them, and I knew what their terms were. They were going to be offering cash if that came through. Well, wouldn't you know it, the agent called me up and said, we're going to be writing an offer. I said, terrific. I look forward to reviewing it with my clients. Next day later that day, we get the offer, we review it. Sure enough, it's a cash offer, but it's less than what we had listed on the MLS or our listing price. Now, that's not a big deal because cash offers are obviously very attractive. However, I felt that if they hadn't come through, if they had been represented, maybe they wouldn't have given me the leverage that I knew that they liked the house. So when you go through a home, make sure that you're represented. We were able to sell that house on a cash deal for more than what they offered. We were able to negotiate and get almost to list price, which of course with a cash deal is usually the best case. But ultimately the point is, get in there represented. Don't give up too much information because you're not the negotiator, your real estate agent is. Do you need representation when going through these open houses? Please reach out. You can call, text, email, hit me up on social media. Honestly, it doesn't matter to me, but I would love to help you out or at least have that conversation. Do you have any additional questions when it comes to this? Please comment below. This is Minneapolis Living. I really appreciate you watching. Please stay safe, please stay healthy, and I'll see you next time.